العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين. We have been blessed and have been given an opportunity to again come to this blessed place in this blessed time and discuss a very blessed subject and topic. That subject and topic is what makes the place blessed, it's what makes the time blessed. And hence it's what makes me and you then become part of that blessed nature. For a place without the remembrance and the assistance of the Imam of the time is a useless place. A time without the remembrance of the Imam of that particular time is a useless time. And a Shia and a believer without an appreciation and understanding that his master is with him in that moment is a useless slave. Both the place, the time, and the person gains value by nothing but the tawajjuh and memory towards the Imam of the time. To bring our attention now to the topic at hand, recite a loud salawat, please. In the last session, we talked about three major points. The first major point was that relationships are directionally specific. My relationship to you is different from your relationship to me. The second point we said is that every item has a hudur and then has also a dhuhur. For example, we gave the example of our breakfast, inshallah. It's present in the kitchen, it has hadir there, hudur there, but its display is not here. A second example I gave was your knowledge. It's present within your hearts, but the display of it is not here because you're listening right now. You see that? When it comes to, for example, your knowledge at the time of speaking, now I'm adding to that point. At the level of speaking, the level of display occurs. It does not mean that every hudur is always present entirely in every dhuhur. If you were to say 3 sentences, those 3 sentences might not be the entirety of the knowledge that you have. They are display of that particular knowledge that you have. Do you see that? We connected that with the concept of the 12th Imam himself. Salawat, please. He is not bound by the hands and feet and time and place that we typically consider an average human to be bound in. For why? An average human is not bound to that. Only in the appearance sense are you bound to that particular space you occupy and that particular body you have. But your reality is far beyond that. Your effects are far beyond that. In a very similar manner, the 12th Imam is also not somebody who's bound simply by the material realm. That is one realm of his display. Just like you and me, in our physical capacity, we are displaying our identity, correct? So for example, me here, I'm somebody who's displaying by my clothes my capacity as a scholar. But it's only a display in the apparent realm. You see that? When I'm displaying and communicating by means of words, I'm displaying, if they're knowledgeable words, my capacity as scholar in the vocal realm. You see that? And so on and so forth. Each individual has displays in various different realms. So what of the Imam of the time? His display is not bound by only the physical appearance. In fact, that physical appearance is the appearance where even the enemies of Islam can then see his physical person. You see that? Then there is an appearance of the 12th Imam, which in our riwayat, there's 3 different dhuhurs, by the way. There's a secondary appearance of the 12th Imam. This is for the mu'mineen. This is for those individuals who are believers. This particular zuhur is nothing special and unique. It's not the case that all of a sudden they realize that a new thing occurs in their life. No. It's simply that they become attentive of a pre-existing connection. You see, when a runaway slave recognizes there's a chain around his neck, and he holds that chain and he sees, there's a master too. He hasn't created the master, he's simply become attentive of that. You see that? This second level of dhuhur is the dhuhur of the Imam in the life of a mu'min, at the capacity of the mu'min's ability to see the owner of that particular chain. Me and you here today are nothing but the slaves of Allah, and the one holding the chain of this slave of Allah should be none but the Hujjah of Allah. And hence each believer at the level that they recognize this, and in the moments they recognize this, are for themselves by their free will creating the dhuhur of that particular owner in their life. You see that? This particular zuhur is one which is granted only to believers. Why? Because the kafir and those individuals who are the enemy of Islam do not open their eyes to that pre-existing chain. You see that? It's not that their authority is in the hand of a different imam. No. It's that they're not privy to that particular knowledge. Well, a believer in his iman is. There's a third level of dhuhur, which you inshallah will get to in later nights. Salawat, please. Dua ahad in of itself is unique. There's 4 levels in this particular dua mentioned. 4 phases that your nafs should go through when you're going through this particular dua. We've been granted the capacity to discuss this for only about 5 sessions, of which this is the second one. So of course, I will not open up this dua to the level and capacity in which even you are able to take and I'm able to say in its entirety. There's a limitation on time, and there will be a limitation then on the opening up. You see that? These 4 realms and 4 phases are essential to understand. In the first phase, the one phase that we're going to talk about today, inshallah, we are calling upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by means of very specific names. We're calling upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by means of very specific names. And after that, we're going to start talking to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala about the Imam himself. You see that? I want you to consider for a moment, when we call upon somebody with a specific lens, and then we ask something after that, that name and attribute we call upon is innately linked with that thing we're asking with. For example, a child comes to their parents and says, don't you love me so much? Oh, merciful, loving Father. Right away, you know what's coming after? Can I have some ice cream? You see that? And the child is saying that I would like ice cream, but I'm not asking it from a store owner. I'm not asking it in reply to any good or bad I've done. I'm asking it from that capacity you have called love as a father, for example. You see that? How you get called upon, with which trait you get called upon, that is innately linked to what's about to come later on. It brings a lens and a direction to what's being asked. You see that? There's something unique. When a husband goes to the spouse and he's looking for example, that connection and emotional attachment, he's not going to be saying, oh, the one who cleans the dishes in the house, please look towards me. No. He said, oh, the ones who my beloved look towards me. The faculty and the capacity of love is being called upon, and the display of that is which is being sought. Do you see that? When a person goes to a court, they say, let's say a judge is bald. So, oh, the bald one, give a ruling for me? No, of course not. They call upon a trait which they're after. So, oh, the adil, give me adil, for example. Do you see that? What we call upon in the du'as is innately important. Look to the first particular line. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allahumma Rabban Nooril Azim. Okay. Rabb of what? The Noor which is Azim. You see that? In the Holy Quran, this Noor and the relationship of that with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His creatures is mentioned in 4 levels and phases. In one place in the Holy Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Allahu Nuru samawati wal ard. Says Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Himself is the Noor of the samawat and ard. Samawat meaning the highest level of existence, and ard meaning the lowest potential possible level of existence. You see that? Allah is the Noor. What is a Noor? A Noor is lit by itself and it lights other things. Do you see that? So in that particular verse, Noor is equivalent to saying creator or creation. Allah is the one who exists and then gave existence to the samawat and the ard. In this particular meaning, Noor is linked to the transference of existence and the innate aspect of existence. You see that? Similarly, in the Holy Quran, Noor is talked about as the Holy Quran. You see that? Another aspect of Noor is the awliya of Allah, the Aimma themselves, according to another verse. When you look at the tafasir and the ahadith. You see that? And one more level, which I'll mention later, inshallah. Noor in of itself has this particular understanding that it's existence in of itself and then the transference of existence. In terms of the Quran, it's the existence of now understanding and piety and then the transference of that in terms of guidance. In terms of the Imam and the Ahlul Bayt, it's the existence of the tawajjuh towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the highest level. And now the inculcation and transference of that and the tarbiyah of that towards all those that love them and want to follow their steps. You see this? In this capacity where there's an innate sifat, an innate trait, and the transfer of that happening as well, this particular idea is called Noor. The first line in Dua Ahad summarizes the entire Dua Ahad. In a very similar manner, how the Bismillah of Surah Hamd summarizes the entire Quran. Some people say this in a poetic lens. It's not. It's actually a very accurate and academic lens. But we don't have time to open that. Allahumma Rabban Nooril Azim. O the Rabb, O the sustainer. Sustainer meaning what? The creator and the maintainer. You see that? The creator and the maintainer of who? The Noor al-Azim. In the time of the 12th Imam, is there a higher Noor possible than the 12th Imam? Yes or no? No. The first particular line, we're calling upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by a trait of His, innate to Him, because we're about to call and ask Him for the highest appearance of it. You see that? We're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for a trait of His rububiyyah, of this particular type of Noor. Why? Because we're about to ask for the ice cream we want. You see that? What does that do for me and you? It tells me and you that the first understanding of the 12th Imam, the Ahlul Bayt have been trying to give to us, is to look beyond the physical realm. When it comes time to perceptions, the first level of sight for a mu'min should not be a ba'id one, it should be a qareeb one. The limited existence of the Imam and the 2 hands and 2 feet and 2 eyes is just the physical appearance of the Imam, while the dua starts off with the innate essence of the Imam. Because your direction, your relationship to your Mawla is not like another person's. You have to know the reality first and then go towards the appearance. You see that? And in that we're invited to shift perspectives. And the first understanding regarding the 12th Imam for a believer who is muwahhid and mu'taqid bidwa ahad is that he is looking at the Imam as what? Nurul Azim. In which case, he has both innately the capacity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's representation in its entirety. Is the Imam only a representative, let's say, of one attribute or two attributes of Allah? Let's say you go to the Imam and you say, Imam, in this particular field or that particular field, what's Allah's opinion? Na'udhu billah. Is the Imam going to say, okay, I'm an Imam for this field, but not for that field? No. So we're asking for a representative of the entirety of Allah's attributes. The appearance of that. Do you see that? Who has it innately, and thus when you follow him and you prescribe to him, you're prescribing and committing to now attaining these at your own levels. Do you see that? This chain that I have around my neck is exactly the chain the owner uses to direct me right or left. That direction is not for his benefit but entirely for mine. So you're blind, if you keep going that way, you're going to fall off the cliff on this side, and he pulls the chain a little bit. And when I start to go off of that edge, he says, you're blind still, and he pulls the chain this way a little bit. He has nothing to gain. The entirety of the gain is coming for the deficient one who doesn't have the eyes to see that he's trying to walk on a sirat which is mustaqim, and very few steps this way will launch him into hellfire, and very few steps this way will launch him into the other side of hellfire. And hence that master's authority through free will has to be there. Otherwise, inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. In the wrong attribute to the adab of Allah. I'll recap for you and end your zahma, inshallah. We started this journey by talking about one innate aspect, which was what? When we're calling upon something, those traits are directly linked to what we're asking for. The kid asking for chocolate example. See that? Then we said the understanding of nur should be appropriate. In the Holy Quran, there's multiple explanations of that. Nur in of itself could be seen as existence and the emanation of that. Could be seen as ilm and the emanation of that, and so on and so forth. And we built upon this idea that the 12th Imam is a representative of only Allah's ilm and nothing else. Nope. He's a representative of only Allah's, for example, qudra and nothing else. Nope. He's a representative of all of the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Correct? Anybody doubt that? No. Alhamdulillah. So if he's a representative of all of the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he has to innately have them, right? And then he invites others to follow him. You see that? So the understanding that and final point, and just a final point from the review as well. The understanding that me and you need to take from Dua Ahad at the very start of it is one, that our vision and view of the 12th Imam should not be down, up, physical level, and then inshallah there's something above. No. We are not the believers who say that the representatives are picked by humans in elections. Unfortunately, we're not that particular group. We're not. We're from a group that says what? That the representatives are picked from top down. And hence your understanding has to be top down. You understand that? This dua is setting the direction straight for those individuals who believe that the wilaya of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through His channel must come down. Not elected, but appointed. This is one reality behind that belief system of ours. Salawat, please. May Allah accept this Khalil Ibadah from us. May He allow us to be those individuals who go through these du'as and embody them. May He allow us to be those individuals who assist the 12th Imam in the best way we can. May He protect our maraji'een, in particular Sayyid Sistani and Rahbari. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.